dia, Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal show. And I can see Gilda in the green room laughing at me already because I've slightly messed it up there this morning, didn't I? But we're all here. We can move on as if nothing ever happened. Bon dia alegria from a cloudy Oslo already. And Paul, your pictures. I've got one principal picture that I'm showing, and I'm trying to find those others. But what an amazing meal you had with Tiago Zeferino in the Algarve. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the restaurant I went to at the weekend, eating bear. I was in Lisbon, staying at the marvelous Martinhal Chiado. What is it? Experience. It's essentially a family hotel. But what a delight to be back in the capital. I'm looking forward to talking to Gilda about that. I forgot how brilliant Lisbon was, really. And hola, bon dia from Paul and Louise as well, who may well feature in our gardening Q&A this evening. You guys, I think, are happily in central Portugal, trimming the undergrowth. And Elra here as well from with a bon dia from sunny Helsinki. Isn't that wonderful? Norway and Finland here. John Gibson also bon dia from the hot and humid port of New Orleans. It's hot and humid in Portugal now. I think summer's really here. We'll check in with Gilda about that as well. And bon dia from Praia da Massas. Oh, that's beautiful. That's the beach, isn't it, near Cascais, the Massa Beach. I had a lovely meal there once upon a time. Is that where you are this morning, Louise? And look who's back! Owen's here. Bom dia, meu amigo. Espero que você, a sua família e ouvintes tenham dia fantástico. Igualmente to you, Owen, as well. Amazing. Stephen Wells is here with a bon dia. And Paul Williams saying, bon dia from a gloriously sunny Hampshire today. It's packing boxes day. Wow, good luck with that today. Let's bring her on. You haven't tuned in to see me. It's Monday. And time to talk to Gilda Pereira. What is going on with me?
I don't know what's going on with you, Carl.
It's like a weekend in Lisbon, and it's thrown me. I mean, I was just inundated with... light. That's what happens when you go to Lisbon, isn't it? Light, luxury, levity, laughter. It was a beautiful weekend. Martinhal. Have you been there to the Martinhal hotel in Chiado?
No. Not yet.
Not enough time at the moment, right? Too busy working, helping people with visas.
Yes. And also it's too close to home to stay in a hotel.
Of course, yes. You wouldn't have to go far, would you? Because you would. I could see your house from my room almost. Over there in Sejal, and it was so fantastic to be on the water there yesterday. Beautiful day. How are you today, Gilda?
I'm fine. Ready for another week.
You are. And what sort of week is to come? Because I wanted to find out from you, which nationalities are you dealing with at the moment? Probably loads, right, from all over the world. Immigrants, and I'll put in the link to your wonderful migration company in the comments now when you tell us all about the various countries you're dealing with.
Okay, it's mostly North American, British. I think the Brexit, at some point was good for my business.
Popular there, but yes, indeed.
Yeah, Canadians, Brazilians, Indians, and Israelis.
Wow. Okay.
Mainly that.
Yeah, okay. That's very interesting, isn't it? So many people interested in coming to Portugal. We did a great webinar last Thursday with Chitra Stern talking about Lisbon and Portugal in general, the California of Europe. Would you agree with that assessment? That's what she's been calling it for the last 20 years.
I've never been to California, so I cannot say that.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I have, and I would agree entirely. I think it's amazing. And somebody came on recently and said, this is the closest European capital to North America as well. Portugal is so special and still so underrated. Maybe that's its secret, is being so modest and so quietly modest, really, and understated about everything that's so brilliant about this country.
The Portuguese don't realize the lucky they have.
Right.
They are always complaining about their own country.
Oh, okay. That's a really... I see you're allowed to say that. I'm not.
Really. And you know what? And when I say that I have many clients that want to come here and I can't go to this and I can't go to that because I have a lot of work, people don't understand. They're like, but who wants to come here? But why?
Really?
You see? Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it? I suppose in the same way that the prophet is never known in their own land, people don't value and estimate or even overestimate the beauty of what's beneath their very feet. The acres of diamonds story, I suppose, isn't it?
No, they don't. They don't.
That's quite an incredible insight into the Portuguese psyche this morning. And that's why we have you here telling us about Portuguese culture on a Monday. Don't know where Frank is. I mean, Frank is still, he's lost in action in the Algarve. MIA is not missing in action, he's missing in Algarve. And I think that happens to quite a few people who go down there. They just think, never mind about real life. Yeah. I'm just enjoying myself, eating, drinking, sunshine. You might see me in a few days, few weeks. I'll be back when I'm ready. Is that what the Algarve does to people?
I guess. Whenever I go there, I don't want to come back either. So okay. I understand.
Frank, if you're watching, if you ever see us again, lots of love to you. I hope you're having a fantastic time there. Now, before Gilda tells us all about Santo Antonio, which is very important, we touched on it briefly with Filomena on Friday, on Feel Good Filomena Friday, last Friday. But we're going to hear Gilda's unique take on this, obviously with some great photographs that she takes, as well as you're beginning to understand. She's a great photographer, as well as somebody who helps people migrate to Portugal. Bon dia from Jacqueline CDM this morning. Hello, thank you for those lovely hearty emoticons, and good luck with the packing, Paul. Peter Robinson. Peter from the Perafita, bon dia from a hot, sunny Perafita. You're into the rap game already there with a name like Peter from Perafita. And no, I didn't buy the house here because it rhymed with my name. Oh, you remembered from last week? Because it was cheap and I work near Matosinhos. That's very prosaic. And it's actually very hard to bust a rhyme that's with something that rhymes with Matosinhos. Let's see if we can do that this morning. Heather Grimwood, hello. A big hello from New Zealand as well this morning. Very interesting. I'm not spoken to you before.
You're becoming very international, Carl.
Oh, we are, Gilda. We are. I mean, you were used to it, aren't you? You're used to being a global player. Yeah, it's starting to happen for us as well. Were you in Lisbon then, Carl? I was, actually. Did I not mention it? All over social media. House sitting here. Oh, okay. Is it at Apple Beach? Unfortunately, tourist season just started, so no dogs on the beach. Oh, okay. So that's a disappointment for you. Gemini Bradshaw, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Gemini. Nuno Mendes from Winsurance, our friends in insurance. Find them on our business directory as well. Good morning, Carl, Gilda, and all todos. And bon dia from Lisbon, from Weave the Story. Hello, Weave the Story. This is the link if you want to just get in touch directly with Gilda and her team. That's the way to do it. Immigrant in our business directory. We'll go back to a few more of your comments and greetings. So lovely to hear from you all this morning. But I'm going to put the first photo up that you sent me from this week's photo assignment from you. It's all about this gentleman, isn't it, this morning?
Oh yeah, Santo Antonio.
So tell us more.
This was actually taken last year in a old church in Lisbon, in Baixo Chiado, and it's actually a box where you put some money for Santo Antonio, and you ask for your wishes. And Santo Antonio, I'm trying.
Hi, Gilda.
And Santo Antonio is actually the saint that for the lovers,
Ooh.
You go to him. Yeah, didn't you know that? He's the saint. He's the saint of the lovers, and the lovers go to him to ask for a husband or a wife, or to keep their marriage happy.
Oh,
that is why Santo Antonio is so popular, and he's also the saint of the poor.
okay.
And everybody asks for money and love. That's why he's so popular.
Of course.
Actually, he's not the saint, the official saint of Lisbon. The official saint of Lisbon is São Vicente, but he's the one that gives us a holiday and that gives us the greatest party,
Yeah, well, they're the important ones, aren't they? So Santo Antonio, even though Vicente is your patron saint, it's also Santo Antonio with the love and the money and
love and the money, and everybody needs to have one home.
I need one of those to go next to my Barcelo cockerel, don't I? Who you can see is literally, he's crestfallen. Literally, it snapped off, and I haven't glued it back on again yet. But I need a.
I will give you one.
Yes, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. So he's our man for love and money. Fantastic, and connected with the Sardines as well, right?
Yes, what happens? It's that when Santo Antonio comes, it's coincidentally, the coincidence is that it's when the sardines become good. you know, because the Portuguese love sardines and they are very picky about it. So they need to be the right side, not too big, not too short, and they need to be fat. No one likes skinny sardines. They need to be fat.
It's like the Three Bears. The Three Bears come to a sardine festival. Who's been eating my sardines? Oh, it's Goldilocks who would say that, of course. Yes, yes.
and we need to eat it. We eat it on the bread, and he needs to wet the bread with the sardine
Fish juices. All right, so
that's it.
we've
That's it. It's all about it. Happy sardine.
Happy sardine.
And this is what actually painted from an American artist, and she gave it to me.
Very beautiful. Now, it would have been this last weekend where people would have been in the streets, especially in all the pictures that people have seen of Alfama, probably all over Lisbon, eating sardines. Obviously, it wasn't possible this year.
Yes.
People kind of spread it out, and the sardines on the menu all over the place as a way of honouring this festival. In this
it is. It is.
Including
you go everywhere and you can eat sardines.
Yes.
And who couldn't go away, we had at home.
Yep. Okay. Well, we'll come back to your own recipe and cooking in a moment, because is this the same church that you you took the picture of the collection box with Santo?
Yes. Yes.
This is Chiado, is it?
Yes.
Did I mention I was in Chiado over the weekend? Very nice it was too. This is beautiful. Through the candles there. Very nice.
This is another one. This is closer to when you start going down the road, almost in the Camões area, almost in front of Brasileira, or that famous cafe.
Okay, excellent. And look at that. It's so beautiful. And so many churches of this grandeur and delight in Lisbon, aren't there? Same one? Or different?
I don't recall if this is the same one. It was all taken on the same day, so they are all in the Baixo Chiado area.
Okay, amazing. And I thought is this you, or is this stock photo? Did you take this one?
I took that one. That's my mother-in-law's place, and it was in the weekend. Of course, we couldn't miss sardines.
I recognize that barbecue anywhere.
See, and this is how we eat sardines. People that like they must have potatoes also, but I prefer without potatoes. But it needs to be in. Actually, this is cornbread, but it can be other kind of bread, and the sardines go on top. This is how we Portuguese eat sardines, and then at the end we eat the bread.
Of course, soaked with the sardine juice. Please remind me, what's cornbread called in Portugal?
Sorry?
I've forgotten the name of cornbread here.
I don't know what cornbread is.
Your particular loaf. Frank loves it. If only Frank were here, he'd be able to tell us. So what else have you got? Have you got some red peppers and some tomato going on, or tomatoes?
Yes. And the red peppers we also grilled in the barbecue, and then we cut it in very shrimp stripes, and we put it with garlic, little bit of garlic, salt, and olive oil.
Ooh, sounds so good. Fantastic. Okay. We do this to ourselves on a Monday, make ourselves very hungry. So for anybody who's on that one meal a day thing, or intermittent fasting, sorry to do that. Broa de milho, that's the one, isn't
Broa de milho, yes.
Or just broa for short, isn't it? I think people call it.
No, because it is broa de centeio also.
Oh, okay. All right. Complicated business, Portuguese food, Portuguese bread, but milho is what you're looking for there. Fantastic. Yes. Someone agreeing with you here, Gilda. Thank you, by the way, for your insight there into Santo Antonio sardines. Anything else you want to say about this particular custom and this time of year?
No, also that the Portuguese have this custom of writing poems to Santo Antonio to ask for their wishes.
Oh.
So the people do it, and we offer for people that we like. We offer manjerico, which is a special plant that smells very good, with a poet on it.
Well, this is we talked a little bit about that on Friday. And do you take part in this? I mean, or am I prying into your private business if I ask you do you do this as an annual custom with your partner, for example? Or is it for people who are still looking for a partner?
No, I like to write, so I write one every year.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. And this is what people might have seen in the supermarket. So there'll be the little bush of manjerico or basil.
Exactly.
And inside is what looks like a flag, but that's actually a poem written on there, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you choose the one that will fit your situation.
Yes.
Or you can write yours.
Write your own. Okay. Let's hear from anybody who's been brave enough to do that. And maybe in English, if their Portuguese isn't that good yet, that's fine too, isn't it? It's the thought that counts, the intention, I think. So what a lovely custom that is, and great to learn about it. Bon dia from Maureen from Texas, Maureen Connolly Martinez. Bon dia from Texas to us.
Hi, Maureen. I think I wrote her last night.
Excellent. You see, this is how hard working is, and this is why we can't keep Gilda too long. So if you've got a pithy and brief visa question, pop it in the comments, and we'll see to that before Gilda has to get off and go to work. True that, always complaining, says Elle. I mean, I think you should only say that if you are Portuguese, frankly. Hello, Gilda. We're moving forward with our D7 application. Can EI help my 2 college kids enroll in college in Portugal on a student visa?
Of course. I have Carla on my team. She's the one that does it, and she's amazing. So I'm going to put you in touch with Carla.
There you go, John. 2 words for you, of course. Another 2 words from Antonio F. this morning. Bon dia. Good bon dia to you as well, Antonio. So good that you join us for so many of the shows. So really appreciate that. That's why I watch expat videos. I didn't understand at first.
See, it's important.
Hank is here. Hey, Hank. Hi, everyone. Bought our tickets last week. Yes. Fingers crossed they make it official that Americans are welcome. Well, your president's been over in Europe. There's no reason why that you shouldn't be following the same sort of G7 footsteps. You know, they arrived quite tentatively, didn't they? And then by the end of it, never mind about elbow bumps and stuff, masks off, hugs, everything. And that's how it should be. If that's the example they're setting, that's what everyone else should be doing as well. Jersey's here this minute. Hola, bon dia to us too as well. Carl and Gilda there from Jersey. Gemini. Oh, here's a question. I don't know if you'd want to answer this one. A little bit off your radar, possibly, but I'm sure you'll have a comment on it, Gilda. I'm in the UK. Why is medical so expensive in Portugal? I don't think it is.
It's the first person that I heard to hear that. Why do you consider it expensive?
Oh, maybe
it isn't.
Yeah, it's because it's free in the UK. I guess anything compared to that.
But no, but it's also free in Portugal once you have the resident permit. Okay, how does it work? Until you have the resident permit, they need to be assured that you have a health insurance. Yes. But even though the private health insurance are not that expensive, are like 50 or 80 euros a month.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Americans can't believe it when they hear that, can they? 50 to 80.
Yeah, no, they can't. They can't. It's not. And once you have the resident permit or you are registered as a citizen living in Portugal, it's free also.
Yeah, Gemini. I don't know where that's come from, but I guess
I think that there's a little bit of misinformation.
Yep, and if you want insurance, you need to go back to the man who said hello before, to Nuno Mendes. Nuno, feel free to put your link in the comments so that Gemini can get a quote from you and find out. I guess if you're not used to paying for medical insurance, that might seem, anything more than nothing is going to feel expensive. But relatively speaking, around the world, Portuguese health insurance and the prices of medicine here are so cheap. Or such good value, I should say. Pedro Soutinho is here. Bon dia from Porto this morning. And a request here. More of Gilda's face, less of Carl's face. Okay, I can't do that on the screen, but can we try that again? So I think it's the other way. Is that what we were supposed to do, Hank? There you go. That's much better, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. Excellent. I'm glad we sorted that out for you. Carl and Gilda, highly recommend Gilda's law practice for immigration. We have been here for 1.5 months and are loving Portugal. Isn't that lovely to see?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
As I say, checks in the post, but there's no need. People just voluntarily just say things like that about Gilda and her wonderful team. How you doing? For Hank to Antonio there. Colin Richardson. Good morning, Colin. Bon dia from a sunny London. Make the most of it, Colin. But big day here. Scaffolding is down on the Ealing house. Decorating finished. House on the market later this week. Then the next chapter of our life starts. Fantastic.
Oh,
So,
good luck.
yeah, good morning to you, Colin and Hakeem over there in West London. Hank, excellent. Whereabouts did you land? Tell us more. Hank wants to know. Antonio F. Oh, these guys are having a conversation with each other there, which is fine, but we probably don't need to share it on the screen. Doing great, brother. Oh, that's more of that conversation. Is this more of the Oh, what did you have for breakfast, Hank? Oh, Antonio says just read on the news today, or read on the news today, that this week US tourists will be allowed in as long as they have a vaccination certificate. Are you hearing anything like this in these last few days, Gilda?
Yes.
You
yes.
are? Anything official?
Yes.
Or is it all just sort of gossip and
it's a gossip, but I think it will become true. However, I think you can travel if you have this vaccination certificate, but unless they say that the previous law is stopped, which says that you can travel with a PCR test negative.
Yeah.
I think you can combine both.
Okay, and when we've said goodbye to Gilda this morning, I am going to be looking at George Branco's reporting. Rule relaxations brought forward. There is a change in the air for sure, and I can feel it in my water that something big is about to be announced that will affect the travellers from America. Okay, let's get to the comments very quickly, see if there's anything else for Gilda before she has to go. Sardines are one of the few foods you could survive on for an extended period without anything else. He's probably talking about the Tom Hanks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Tom Hanks in that movie when he's stranded on a desert island with Wilson, him and Wilson having a sardine dinner together. Bon dia from Joao Gloria. Let's have a look here. Hank and Antonio still having a chat. But Hank's saying, though, looking forward to visiting your wonderful country. We can't wait for you to be here. Hank, I'm looking forward to some feedback from your trip as well. So Hank's got a job to do when he gets here as a representative for others, a bit of an unofficial ambassador post. Heather is asking, what do I need to get a work visa from New Zealand, please? So you've dealt with people from New Zealand, presumably, Gilda?
Yes, I do. Actually, it's one of the countries, New Zealand and Australia, I forgot to mention. I think that there was something that happened in Australia, the way that they deal with the pandemic situation.
Yes.
People were not happy. So many Australians and immigrants that live there came to look for our services, and they want to move to Portugal.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, get in touch, Heather.
Yes, she needs a work contract or a promise of a work contract for a start.
Okay, there you go. That gets you going there, Heather. Good morning.
Yes, she's stuck with the golden visa.
Yes, yeah, so problem for Maria. Are you already helping Maria? Is that?
No, I'm not. But it's a nightmare. I know it's our you know that I make part of association that represents the relocation and investment immigration, which is PAIR. Yeah. So we've been talking with the government about this. What is going on? These people that came to our country to invest, and it's taking ages for them to have the resident permit. It's taking much more time than a D7 or a D2. Because it makes sense.
Is it because it's so popular, or what happened?
No, it's because of the system that they implemented. You know, it's like an informatics system that you can only book, make the appointment through a portal that never works.
Oh dear, that is
awful. Yeah, there are many people trapped, Maria. I can understand.
And people have been
spending
a lot of money, haven't they, on the basis that they were going to get their golden visa, so that maybe the promise is not delivering there, sadly.
Yes, because they spend a lot of money and they don't get their process fast.
Yikes. Okay.
As they should, as it was supposed to be. Good.
Fingers crossed for you both there, Maria. We're going to spend a month moving from one end of the country to another. Look at this. Look, this is a fantastic itinerary. Lisboa, Faro, Tavera, Aveiro, Porto, Évora, Braga, and ports in between. Absolutely. You've got to come and have a beer with me. John Gibson, will do, Hank. Waiting on AE and on our timing to get D7 application going. Fantastic, John. Okay. This is what was behind Gemini's earlier question. My friend took me to an optician and it was £69. That is cheap for an optician.
Yeah. Optician is.
And
optician and dentist are expensive. That's right. I agree with him now.
and cars as well. So yes, we understand that, but more general medical, I wouldn't have said so. John Rooney is here as well. Good morning, John. How's your search going? Bon dia from our quarantine in Shropshire. Oh, so you're back again in the UK, toing and froing. Johnny is here as well. Bon dia, todos. Santo Antonio helps me always when I lost something. He has a lot of work.
I forgot. Yeah, no, I forgot to tell. He's also the saint that you pray to and you ask when you lose something.
Okay, so but it sounds like Johnny is keeping him very busy over there in Belgium. Like, where are my glasses that cost me €3,000 in Portugal? Okay, and John Gibson saying, look, our insurance in the United States was $2,400 a month. There's no comparison, is there, to the 80 or €100 is going to get you gold star service over here for sure. Gary, how could anyone ever say that the Portuguese are unhappy or grumble when you see Gilda's lovely smile? That just doesn't seem possible. Oh, Gary, he's a charmer, isn't
Don't forget that I'm not I'm half Portuguese, half Angolan, and I think that my happy side comes from the Angolan. Always happy, always dancing.
There you go. There's another insight into the Portuguese psyche there. That's fantastic. I know you got to go. I've kept you for half an hour this morning. What do you want to tell us today, Gilda? Anything else that we might have missed?
No, have a lovely week. Now, the next saint that we celebrate is going to be São João. It's going to be on the 23 to the 24. Okay. So we also with Sardines then. We can talk about São João next week.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us this week. It's always a pleasure to have you here. You're incredibly popular, off the scale popular with people. So if you didn't get your question this week, Gilda will be back every Monday to answer questions, not just about visas, but as you can see there, a rich resource when it comes to everything about Portuguese life. Gilda, have a great day. Lots of love to you and your team.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
There she goes, Gilda Pereira. Let me just put the link from our business directory to the services that Gilda offers there. And that's going on the screen right now. There you go. It's in the comments for when you need it. Okay. I can take a breather now because I know she's very busy. She's got to go do stuff, so we can't mess about when Gilda's on. And I'm going to breathe out now, and I'm going to talk to you about a little bit more about my weekend in Lisbon this weekend. Well, an overnight stay, which was absolutely wonderful. Great restaurant. Went to Eating Bear. Now, I want to point out right now that Eating Bear has nothing to do with eating actual bears, ursos, or naked eating for that matter. The place is called Eating Bear. Maybe I should bring it onto the screen for you now so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, so that you can see that no nakedness was involved in my night out on Saturday. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but on this particular occasion, well, I guess it can get messy, but on this particular occasion, it's not working with me this morning, the sharing technology. Let me just try that one more time. Eating Bear restaurant, fresh food in Lisbon downtown. Yes, and we've got it now. There you go. And it says on the screen there for some reason, dry fruits. Let's see what that's all about, shall we? Oh, that's just their starter screen. So yes, it was amazing to meet Donna and Jim. Actually, let me show you a picture of Donna and Jim, who you may know from the webinar just landed or from our community generally. Donna and Jim have been here, I think, for a couple of months possibly now, loving life in Lisbon. And they were so helpful to us on our just landed webinar. And they talked about their experience of being here. And actually, I need to call up a photo from my phone of them having a wonderful meal. I've got a picture of a selfie of me with the chef as well. Look, so there's Donna and Jim. With chef, he was, I forget his name now, but he was what a character. He was there on arrival and talking us through things. Lovely man. I've got a selfie with him. Look at that's just me and him. A great character, and I think there's a picture of me with an empty plate, or I'm looking like I'm just about to eat a serviette. Let me just show you this one as well. But this is the ambiance. Look at that that is a lovely plate that's hearts of palm in the foreground there with a pesto on top, and that was for the vegetarians among us. Morning to you as well, Doc and Leona. So let's go back to Eating Bear's website. It does make you think like you are going to be eating bear basically. Did have some wild boar. close-ish. But look, I want to see some of their food pickies. I've got a great food picky from Paul Richards down in the Algarve. Oh, this is what it's all about. This is what was so interesting going to Eating Bear. Diogo's family are Alentejano wine producers, and it's all about the pairing in there. Some great wine. He treated us to a 40-year-old port towards the end of the meal. And they've got another experience next door where you can do a full-on wine tasting, and there's also a shoemaker. So I think if you buy two bottles of wine, you get a third free. If you buy 2 shoes, you get a bottle of wine. It's all about the threes in there. Look at all these wonderful. Is that chef again? Nepalese chef. It's all about the experience and the connection to wine with Eating Bear, but absolutely fabulous food. It has to be said. There's the wonderful team there. Careful what you're doing with that blowtorch, chef. Yes, he's just about to put a caramelized crust on that fellow next to him, I think. But look at this lovely food here. And yeah, in downtown in Lisbon, very easy to get to from where I was staying in Chiado. Absolutely wonderful. And I was able to walk back from the restaurant past the Praça do Comercial. Lisbon, when I went out early on in the evening, I just stepped out of the hotel and onto those steep streets of Lisbon, and it was delightful to take in that, the warm air, that feeling when you're on holiday. And there's just something so special about Lisbon and the vibe there. And I stepped out of the hotel door to experience that and look down towards the water, towards the Tejo, and I was able to walk along the river frontage there, past the Praça do Comercial, and into the Eating Bear part of town. Absolutely wonderful. Totally recommend it. And we will get Diogo back. We may even speak to Chef on the show at some point as well. But we've got to talk to Diogo about his family's wine and also the other experiences that he offers. There's a lot going on there, which he'll come on and unpack for us, including this incredible connection with handmade shoes as well. That's another part of the family. So a very talented family and lots to tell you about. And we'll get Diogo back to do that. So great to see you, Donna and Jim. And Doc and Leona, and open to other dinner invitations as well. Okay, so let's move on. We were talking about the gossip and speculation, were we not, around whether a vaccination certificate will be enough for North American visitors, and the relationship, obviously, between the EU and other parts of the world in terms of visitors coming in to Portugal. So let's take a look at that now on George Branco's reporting, which we haven't looked at for a while. I really enjoyed and admired George, actually, for his stepping up to the plate early on in the pandemic with some really good reporting. And this is where he is currently. So let me just bring that onto the screen for you now and talk our way through it. What it looks like is that we're going to be going into more openness and freedom, but with an emphasis on more local lockdowns. Okay, so that's what I think we're going to find out by going through this now. Rule relaxation brought forward. Lisbon and Braga held back because of too many cases. Okay, so that's the worrying part of it, but the interesting part of it is how the government of Portugal is handling this. Published only yesterday, 13 hours ago, it says there, this is Portuguese news in English for estrangeiros, for foreigners, by the numbers. So what George says here, and you can subscribe to this yourself, I'll put the link to it in the comments in just a moment, but we've returned to that part of the pandemic where things are, without question, getting worse instead of better. Cases are rising fairly steadily every day, and even the really nasty indicators like deaths and people in ICU have started to creep up again. Okay, so I think what George is doing here is going straight to the dark side. But, with that particular angle on the numbers, he's absolutely right. Okay. Case numbers in most of the country are actually pretty similar to where they were a month ago. But Lisbon and Tejo Valley is a big exception, with 60% of all new cases over the past week. With the exception of the 6 people who died on Thursday, we're still saying about 1 or 2 people die a day, and the number of people in ICU is still significantly below 100. It's hard to know, he says, how much of that is down to more vulnerable people being vaccinated and how much is because of the amount of time it takes for people to get sick, become seriously ill and die, creating a long lag between cases increasing and other indicators. So that's the, we want to get here, but that's the picture on the ground in terms of numbers, scientifically speaking. Rule relaxation, however, has been brought forward. So that notwithstanding, this is what's going on in terms of the government position. The government caught me by surprise, says George, and brought the next phase of reopening forward to Friday, 2 days ago. Sorry I wasn't able to send this out sooner. I went away for a few days without my laptop, says George, having a bit of a break there. Arguably, the biggest change in hospitality and cultural spaces being able to stay open until 1 a.m. and retail businesses returning to their normal hours, as Publico reports. There are also changes to testing rules, with anyone heading to a big sporting, cultural or major family event now needing to take a COVID-19 rapid test. The rapid antigen tests seem to be okay, says George. Workplaces with more than 150 people also require testing. Working from home is no longer mandatory. Public services are open without an appointment, and public transport can be 2/3 full or completely full if there's no standing room, like express trains. Amateur sport can have a 1/3 capacity in allocated seasoning. Now, seating and allocated seasoning. Going back to food there for a minute. Lisbon and Braga look like there may be sort of local measures rather than countrywide. That's my speculation. I think not his. Of course, the huge exception to this relaxation is Lisbon City Council, the centre of the capital, along with Braga, Odmira and Valdecambra, continues under the same set of restrictions in place over the past few weeks. So they're staying exactly where they are in light of the rising cases. All four registered more than 120 cases per 100,000 people in a fortnight in 2 consecutive assessments. I mean, to me, the rises of tens within 100,000 people seem minuscule, and you could say negligible, but I suppose what they're pointing to is a direction of travel, rather than the vast changes in numbers in a sample of 100,000. Tell me what you think about that yourself in the comments. Lisbon gave this on other news from George. Lisbon gave Russian dissidents data to Russian officials. This was what Joel was going absolutely mad about in the man cave on Friday. Lisbon City Council found itself at the center of a major international controversy this week for passing on the personal details of 3 Russian activists to Vladimir Putin's regime. Mayor Fernando Medina faced calls for resignation after apologizing for what he called a bureaucratic error. So those people who are protesting, I believe, outside the Russian embassy, their details were just given straight to Russian officials by the Portuguese officials, which is pretty grim. Of course. In brief, National Guard GN officer beaten in training and sent temporarily blind. My goodness. Sorry to bring you so much bad news this morning, as well as the beautiful smile of Gilda and the upbeat info from her. FC Porto was paid 400,000 to host the Champions League final. Okay. So there's follow the money, honey. People wondering why on earth that Champions League final was held in Portugal. FC Porto stood to earn nearly $500,000 from that. Might have been something to do with it, mightn't it? New lung for Lisbon. The Parque Ribeiro Telas opens in Praça de Espanha as part of a wider restoration work costing 16 million euros, reporting there from the Diário de Notícias. That sounds like really nice. That's another thing to stick on your list when you're visiting Lisbon. The improvements there at Parque Ribeiro Telas as well in the Praça de Espanha. And on a lighter note, thank goodness for that, Portugal has been named the best European country for a road trip. That's interesting, which if you've cruised past stunning landscapes of any of its most empty highways, you might agree. Yes, okay, from that angle, of course, because we had a really hilarious discussion. Was it last Monday? About how people have adapted to driving in Portugal. Global travel research site Momondo analysed 31 countries against 6 criteria: climate, safety and infrastructure, price, traffic and sustainability, car rental, nature and points of interest. That sounds like more than 6 criteria to me, but anyway, to determine the winner there. Having road tripped from Lisbon to Guimarães this past weekend, Portugal can consider itself lucky. There was no section for tolls and fuel. Well said, George. Apparently our little nation won points for road quality, nature and points of interest and car rental prices. Yeah, I would agree with car rental. Very good deals here with lots of sunshine and limited air pollution among the highlights. I mean, come on. Portugal is a great place to do a road trip, and we have murmurings within our camp of talking about the what's it called, the Route 66 of Portugal. I think it's the N2, isn't it? Where you're going to be driving from top to bottom. The old trade route. Can you imagine moving things from north and south to north in Portugal, long before the motorways and tolls, winding up and down hillsides and all the hostelries and establishments that the truckers would have stayed at. What a fantastic trip to recreate. So I think absolutely, and the Douro Valley as well for a road trip. So yes, a well-deserved award there, notwithstanding the adaptation one might make to the Portuguese driving style. Okay, let's go back to your comments before we show you a picture as well of what a lot of pictures of people's dinner here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Paul Richards was with Tiago Zeferino, who you may have seen first here on Good Morning Portugal, thanks to Frank, who's occasionally with us, but is MIA, missing in Algarve at the moment. Okay, let's see what's going on here in the comments. We're gonna. Oh yes, that was Hank's wonderful itinerary there. I think that's great. Can't go wrong with that one. And obviously, other people will be wanting you to add things to that, Hank. Suggestions, I think you'll be glad to hear. And let's have a look. Yes, we've solved the Gemini's complaint about the cost of medical stuff. It was really specifically to do with opticians and spectacles. And who else is talking about what here? Let's have a look. Yes, Gilda's smile was mentioned as well. The link to Winsurance has been put in by Nuno Mendes as well. See for yourself what good value Portuguese medical insurance is by chatting with Nuno there. I think my family, 3 adults, don't spend that in health expenses in the whole year, says Antonio F. Again, they're a great boast about the value of Portuguese medical insurance, the comparison there. And it's going to be spring 2022. When I first read that, I'm thinking that sounds like a long way away, as somebody who was born in the 1900s. And I'm thinking, 2020, you think, wow, that seems like really sci-fi, futuristic stuff. We're way past 2020 into 2021, and 2022 is only next year. So we'll see you then, Gibson family. But I mean, on first viewing, that just looks like a long way into the future to me. Hank Stelica, oh, awesome. Well, if we beat you there, we'll definitely have to meet up. Lots of chat going on between people in the comments as ever, which is great. Gilda, going to see you in July, hopefully. She's already gone, but she'll be back next Monday. And that's how you get in touch with her in our business directory there. Hank, don't forget Tamar. That's a good shout actually from Garvo. Yes, you really should go to Tamar. I was recommending Tamar myself at the weekend as a place people must go to when considering the options for, well, I mean, certainly a visit. You've got to visit, but as a place to live as well, Tamar is a very good consideration. Animal Science TV. I've been in Asia for the last 5 years, but Vietnam is ruining the visa situation for nomads. I wonder why that is, Animal Science TV. And what is it you do for a living? Probably something to do with animal science and TV, right? But you're looking into Portugal now. Interesting. Okay, so well, yeah, what's going on in Vietnam? Irisotoba is here. Bon dia. Why are cars more expensive to buy there? We're hoping to buy one as soon as we arrive. It's possibly better to buy from France and drive over. You may not escape import tax on that. I'm not sure. I can't answer that question directly. Suffice to say, it is more expensive. It is a constant, an ongoing complaint. The price of cars in Portugal. They keep their value. On the other side of it, if you do buy one, they don't suddenly lose a load of value as soon as you've bought it. Some, but they do hold their value. And we will have webinars dedicated to finding the best ways to do this, looking at rental, looking at leasing, and probably the best way to buy a used car as well. And some of these ideas, whether that's a viable idea or not, it is to buy and drive from France. I know some people do that with Germany, but I still think there are some taxes to pay, and you have to figure out whether that is worthwhile or not. Nice pocket square. Who was that who had the pocket square, Stephen? I am not. Oh, was that from Chef? It probably was, wasn't it? Or one of the people in the Chef lineup there from Eating Bear that I showed you. Bon dia from Joel. The aforementioned Joel is here. How are you today, my friend? More testing equals more results equals higher positives. Absolutely, Gary. Did want to talk a bit more about that because I was aware reading George Branco's reporting that it does paint a very grim picture. But of course, all countries that are doing a lot of testing now will be finding that's what happens, isn't it? It's just the logic of more testing equals more cases. And you're quite right, Gary, when you say more. We need to watch how many people are being hospitalized and the ICU beds as ever. And I think George did say that they were rising slightly, but that is what we need to be aware of because we could forever terrify ourselves with testing. And it occurred to me, if in previous years people had been tested for flu, I imagine that we would have had a very similar and dismal picture. You know, when you test for things, it's a bit like that you know, that cheeky view of modern medicine. You know, if you're well, you just haven't had enough tests, and I think there's some truth in that. And you know, I think if we'd been testing people routinely for flu over the last few decades, a very similar picture could have been created, but we didn't, did we? It was a private matter, flu, wasn't it? People got their jabs or didn't get their jabs. People became ill. People even died from the flu, and it wasn't. How can I was going to say propagandized. I know it's very different. I'm not saying COVID is flu, but there is a parallel to be understood and a case to be made there. That I think Gary is absolutely right. When you test, you find more positives, and that can feed various agendas. So yes, absolutely right, Gary, to keep an eye on the hospitalizations and the ICU beds, where that, I believe, still is the vulnerability. I mean, we're protecting the hospitals and the hospital staff, aren't we? And the precious amount of resource in ICU beds was always a thing that we were keen to protect right from the start there. The EN1, that is the highway road that goes from north to south and has some interesting views. So the EN1, not the N2, according to Joel there. But I think Joel would agree. Joel loves cars and motoring. What other road trips would you suggest then, Joel, as a proper Portugueser? Be good to know. Bon dia from Jim White this morning. Hey, Jim, how are you? In Baltimore this morning, or morning for us, early hours of the morning for you. Thanks for the Tamar trip. Me and the missus will look into it. You must. You will love Tamar. I'll be very surprised if you don't. It was you. It was. Yes, it wasn't a pocket square. It was my mask. Stephen, jauntily hanging out of my breast pocket, ready to be popped on my face at any moment. In fact, actually, I was walking back from Eating Bear to Martin Shadow, and there was one comical moment where a police officer was walking the other way, and I'm thinking, okay, time to pull the jauntily placed mask in my breast pocket that looks like a pocket square onto my face, and the policeman was doing exactly the same, and I think we both took them off afterwards. That, as I understand it, is the rule. Lots of people without masks in Lisbon over the weekend. The rule is you wear a mask if you can't socially distance, and you're exempted, obviously, once you've sat down and you're eating in a restaurant. But however, you know, some people have been very ready to rip them off, and others are seemingly completely conditioned into wearing them all the time, maybe in bed even, and in the car, whatever. And running, saw people running yesterday in Lisbon with masks on. That must be really hard work. Maybe it's a new, you know, a bit like bathing in ice cold water. There's a thing of running with a mask on that gives your body an extra struggle and gives you some extra fitness. Maybe, hope not. Morning, Carl. A member has been told that he cannot buy a new car in Portugal with a USA license. Told he needs a Portuguese license. This is a new one on me. I've not heard that, Jerry. Good morning to you, Jerry. I wonder if any listeners can comment. Cannot buy with a USA license. I can't believe that that's true. Not doubting you, Jerry, or the source, but let's get to the bottom of that. That wouldn't make sense, would it? Buying a car, owning a car is not the same as driving it for starters, is it? As we know, you could buy a car for somebody and it's a present. So why would you have to have a license at all? If you have to have a license to drive, don't you? Sounding like James Bond now. But yeah, that's an odd one. Joel might be able to help with that. He knows a lot about motoring in Portugal. Changing plates on a car to a Portuguese license plate is expensive, not to mention that the IUC municipal tax you'll pay has if you bought a new car. I wouldn't advise buying from another EU country. Cheaper just to buy here. So, but still expensive. I think you would agree as well, Joel. I think, yeah, that's what we need to bring our motoring webinar higher up our list of priorities, if that's the demand. But yes, it's a very interesting subject, and just like spectacles and opticians, it does remain, mobiles and those sorts of services from the big telephone companies, including broadband, can seem expensive to people, especially the mobile plans, as can opticians and cars. Those are the areas we hear complaint around in terms of it not being as good value as some of the other wonderful things here. Maria Costa, I just bought a brand new electric Smart last month. I looked for one that had been matriculated as part of some sales campaign. 4,000 lower. Wow, that sounds a bargain. It had never even been driven. 5 kilometers on the odometer, on the clock. I bought an old Smart off Facebook Marketplace. It was way overpriced for an old car. So it looks to me there that there are some good deals to be had on particular promotions there. A nice canny buy there from Maria, who is one of our Ask Our Expats team. So if you want to find out more from her, that's probably a good way of doing it. Book her up for a session on Ask Our Expats. And thank you, Pam. We'll play this soon. Pam from Alcobaça, also in the Ask Our Expats team, made a video of herself and what she hopes to offer people who might be interested in the Alcobaça area. Great job, Pam. You've set the bar high for others in the team, Maria. An old car. Okay, Joel is recommending an old car there. And they often well looked after. That's the other thing. They keep their value, and they can be well looked after here in Portugal. And testament to that is the number of old vehicles you see here, and some beauties. You're driving around, you think, oh, look at that old Datsun, or look at that old Ford. Wow, I had one of those in 1982. That sort of thing. It's a real joy. Hi, Hank. The Convento de Christi, sorry, I beg your pardon, is a must visit in Tomar. Say Paul and Louise this morning. Kings, Knights Templar, symbolism abound within the walls. Still a working convent too. Fantastic. Still making confectionery there possibly as well. This is the thing. The monks make the booze and the nuns made the buns, I think. That rhymes nicely, doesn't it? Hank, lunch on me in Tamar. There you go. It's getting better, isn't it? And maybe Gary can join in as well. Definitely gone up a little bit on Hank's list there, I would have thought, after that invitation. Yesterday, says Iris, I discovered an online place called Ancien. It looked lovely. Yeah, Ancien is nice. Jerry might comment on that. Any thoughts on this area for retirement, housing, etc.? Ancien. I've been to the circus there, actually. Yes, it is a nice little town, and there is a bit of an expat valley. Am I right, Jerry and Gary? If you get extending from Tamar through to Alvaiazra and onwards towards Coimbra, that would that be the Zézer Valley, or would that be part of it? But that particular route from Tamar to Coimbra seems to be peppered with towns that do enjoy an expat vibe. So you'll be among some expat action if you want it, but still my recollection of Ancien, still very traditional and Portuguese, not changed drastically by the expat influence. I mean, where is apart from the Algarve in Portugal, and only certain parts of the Algarve. But Ancien, yes, keep that on the list. Gary, Jerry, have you got anything on that, or anybody else for that matter? Bon dia from Barbara from Katowice this morning. Good morning to you. Dzień dobry to you. Maria Costa. Jerry, rebuying a car with a US license. We bought 3 cars with US licenses. Yeah, it might be a new change that was suggested or something. I think it's new. It was new news to you, Jerry, wasn't it? But there you go. That's Maria's personal experience. If they're wearing masks in bed, that is a different. Oh yeah, silly me. Thanks, Stephen, for pointing that out. Selwyn's birthday today. Selwyn Warren. Parabéns a você, a mutual friend of Stephen and myself here. Bon dia, Carl. Long time no comment. Carl McAdam, where you been? The other Carl. That's what we call each other, the other Carl. It works both ways, you see. We recently drove back from Odemira and passed through a town village called Avis. Any relationship to the car hire company? I think not. Quite beautiful, up on a hill with a walled castle. Now, that doesn't narrow it down, Carl, I have to say. If you say, oh, I went to Portugal and I was going through this place which was quite hilly and I had a castle on the hill, in some parts of the world, they would say immediately, oh, that's so-and-so that was established in 15 whatever. In Portugal, they're 10 a penny. But Avis, I guess that would be called, wouldn't it, in Portugal? Don't know a lot about that place, but I'm hoping and trusting you had an excellent time. Belated birthday wishes, I believe, possibly to Pretty. I hope you had a great time, you guys. Have a British license, says Andrea. Bought a Portuguese car and have Portuguese insurance. Still waiting for IMT, but no issues with a foreign license. Thanks, everyone, for coming to in response there to Jerry's earlier point. So Brit's not a problem either. I took the first chance to swap over for some reason, and that went pretty well. But I've never had any issues with whichever license I've had here. Not sure you could register a car to yourself unless you had a Portuguese address, and of course a NIF number. Okay, you could not sure you could register a car to yourself unless you had a Portuguese address. Okay, that's interesting. Jerry, we have also heard this in relation to UK driving licenses recently, but excuse me, but cannot get to the bottom of the source. Interesting. Okay, so that mystery may remain hanging there past the end of today's show, but we will let you know. And obviously, I'm sure Jerry's popped that on in the forum as well to bring the hive mind into this. And as soon as anyone finds anything concrete about that, I'm sure the mystery will be solved. Used smart cars are really overpriced, says Antonio F. So especially expensive, possibly the smart car. Bon dia alegria from Doreen. Strange to be watching at 9 versus 4 a.m. Yeah, and Donna, bless her, said that she used to tune in back in the day, and it would have been early in the morning. Now, anyone who's made that journey, and increasing numbers of you have, can listen at a much more leisurely 9 o'clock while you're considering which pasteleria or padaria to go to later on this morning. Just follow the signs for the gas bar. A warm welcome awaits you in Alviazar and Tamar, it looks like, Hank. So much kindness. Thanks to everyone. Nothing but love, says Hank there, who's delighted by the offers, it would seem. We arrived a few days ago for a 6-week reconnaissance. I do want to read that as reconnaissance, but we know what that means, Samantha. So good luck with that. The weather is completely on your side, and you come to Portugal at a fabulous time. I think the cold and rain firmly behind us now. Where are you off to? Within hours, we were worried we'd picked the wrong country. Chained up barking dogs. No one warned us about this. Oh, okay. So a bit of a shock there. Yeah, and I think Louise might have something to say about that as well. Yeah, that is certainly something people are shocked by and struggle with, and nobody really wants to see that, do they? But yeah, it's true, and you're absolutely right, and hopefully that hasn't marred entirely your visit, Samantha. That's a great idea from Pam. People keep asking me about areas, and I send them to expat experts. Oh, thanks, Louise. I was thinking of a video to show what they do. Yeah, we had that idea. We had a little brainstorming session of how we can better share what we do with people, and that was one of the ideas, to make little videos that we can put on the website, because you want to create some rapport with people. You want to find a bit like dating. You want to get a little bit of a sense of that person, and what better way to do that than with a video. So Pam's first off the mark with that. Jerry, yes, it is definitely a nice area and plenty of contacts we can introduce in Ancião. There you go. So good pick there, Eris. By the way, we are staying in Cascais, says Samantha. Where else are you going, Samantha, as well? I mean, that's a great start, isn't it? Cascais for sure. And are you enjoying the Massa Beach there? Fantastic restaurant overlooking the beach, Louise. Thanks, Maria. I also bought new cars here without a problem before I had a Portuguese license. I think this particular development might be recent. Expat, immigrant, definitely out here, but we don't seem to affect the local culture much in Tamar, Alvázar, Ancião, Massas, Dona Maria, Espinhal, Panela, etc. Okay, yeah, so that little formation that I mentioned, I think it stands up to some scrutiny. And they're there not probably because of each other, but because it's such a beautiful journey or place or particular collection of towns going from Tamar to Coimbra. That's how I'm characterizing it. Austin, it's Andy via Austin. Bon dia. Love these cool misty mornings first thing. Thank you. Incoming cafe, ole. A kind of mer de leite there. Is that right? Or is that a cup of tea? It's a cup of tea. Everybody, how wrong one can be. But thanks anyway. Best I could do. Thank you. Bon dia, love these cool misty mornings, says Andy. Out on his bike, possibly. Andy records the most amazing journeys on his bike. Where can people see those, Andy? Are any of them still in the public domain? Great for a walk before the heat of the day, or a cycle ride, I'm sure, for that matter. Good to hear from you, Andy, via Austin. I have asked ACP for a definitive answer on the license thing, and we'll report back. Cheers, Jerry. Excellent. Okay, so apart from the chained up barking dogs, I love everything I've seen so far. That's great to hear, Samantha. Something else for you to see here now is you've seen my dinner pretty much. You saw Gilda's this morning. Where is Mr. Richard's plate? Look at that. And I hope you can see in the foreground there. And we probably need to do this some better justice in the coming days. But there's Tiago Zeferino, who we were able to meet virtually at first through Frank, MIA, as I say, missing in Algarve. We had a lovely conversation with him. The man is an absolute gent and talent. And here are some of the plates that he made for Paul Richards, who says one of the best chefs in the Algarve with a warm and friendly attitude. If you want a special treat, this is the place to go. So there, our club in Bergamo is where to go and make a booking with Tiago Zeffirino. So we are really getting into the business now of making some lovely recommendations of great chefs, great restaurants, great food here. Keep them coming, folks. And thank you very much, Paul, for that. You look like you're having a great time in Portugal. Much appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. And last few comments then before we come to a close on this Monday morning. Who's on tomorrow? Oh, yes. We have Raphael. Raffas is with us tomorrow. We had one or two comments when we were talking about coming to Portugal and working online, starting an online business. On Tuesday, we sometimes have the Cockerel's Coop where people present a business idea. Good opportunity to consider doing something new, to join forces with an idea, present your own, whatever. Raphael is coming on to talk about how easy it would be to start an online business. We'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday, of course. Wednesday, ask anything about Portugal. Thursday, we're hoping to go to Madeira with the Hit the Road company. So Places and Spaces will be from Madeira, and we'll be having a bit of Feel Good Friday with Jenny B, I believe, this coming Friday, who just hosted a very successful. I've been receiving some proper loved up comments and reflections from her workshop this weekend. So I think the folks who were with Jenny B over the weekend, or was it yesterday, had a lovely time. So looking forward to speaking to her on Feel Good Friday. That's the week ahead. Join us, of course, for the Wine Club and our Portugal Calling webinar on Thursday evening as well. Don't forget to mention Lisbon, Carl. Yes, I went to Martignal in Chiado. It was great though, and I've got a further report. Actually, Martignal are amazing, as you'll have found out if you heard my conversation with Chitra Stern on Thursday. It was great. It was really good. I always enjoy talking to her. She's very inspirational, and just the whole idea of the inspiration was okay. They've come to Portugal. They've started to have a family here in Portugal, and they go to the hotels they used to go to. And let me put it bluntly, there is about as welcome in these hotels with kids as a fart in a spacesuit, right? And, people looking a bit like, are they the people who had the screaming kid on the plane? Oh, no, they're in our hotel as well now. So what the Sterns did was think, okay, we'll build our own hotel chain that revolves around families and parents who need a bit of a break and don't want to be stared at or be the object of any consternation when walking into a hotel. And they've done it. The play for, I was nearly down on my own hands and knees and pulling off my shoes and socks and getting into the play area. Not a good look for a man of my age, but I was able to do it because I have my own kids there. The facilities were superb. This is in downtown Lisbon, where you would think, hold on a minute, a more cynical hotelier would have stuck another few rooms in here. But true to their niche, they have made a beautiful experience for families and for children especially. And the children were treated like, it made the bar really high. Come home and it's a very different matter after a bit of a treat at Chiado, the Martignal family hotel in Chiado at the weekend. They were treated like gods. And this lovely playroom with, I suppose it's not canvas, but it's like going into a tent, probably a bit like Jenny B's workshop on Sunday. And just all the best toys you can imagine. And kids absolutely loved it. Fantastic apartment, self-catering facilities, high spec, because that's another part of it, talking to Chitra about that. Best designers, best finishes, absolutely beautiful. And the breakfast yesterday on Sunday, oh my goodness. They couldn't do the cafe. The cafe's not open at the moment because of COVID. Opening up again now, and we had a little look, and there's a VW Beetle conversion thing that the kids can get in, and so they can play while the parents having a bit of a leisurely breakfast. So they organised a breakfast delivery, and I've never had a takeaway delivered breakfast of the scale and quality as I experienced yesterday morning. So Martignal, muito bom. The single word, delightful. That's the word that kept coming to mind. This is delightful, and for all of us, for the whole family. Project Frugal, do Portuguese eat classic roast pork or similar meals? We just had one, thanks to Nee. So you've just had your roast pork dinner there in New Zealand, by the sound of it. Roast pork, yeah, al forno, I guess. Pork is really popular. The aroma of pork is one of the great aromas, unless you're a vegetarian, as you walk through the streets of Portugal. Very reminiscent of of that sort of a pork roasting aroma that of the Far East, I find, walking about in the cities of Portugal. And fish as well. I think, and it's probably because there are so many barbecue scenarios here, people cooking over coal. So yes, roast pork, not as in like a Sunday dinner particularly, although I guess you would get quite close to that on occasion in a restaurant, because you're getting all your veg and maybe a salad and some chips and rice as well. But yeah, roast pork, you're not going to have to go far to find roast pork, but with a slightly different and Portuguese twist. Is how I would answer that. I don't know if anyone else has got an answer for that. Himdia from David Durham, who was also a bit of a star on Friday night, which of course translates to bon dia later in the comments. Good morning to you, David. Thanks all so much for your insight, says Iris. This show is invaluable for newbies. We're so excited to get there. Iris, it's our pleasure. It's what we do. Porto next. Who's that for? Is that for me? For a bit of a weekender? Yeah, I think so. But I mean, where do you go? Where do you go next? It's as much of a problem for us who are already here, folks, as it is for you folks wanting to be here. Like, where do you go to next? What's on your ever-growing list? Becky G. Rogers, what time do you start these lives? Thanks. Oh, 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock in the morning. This live stream goes out every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Portuguese time. Translate for your own time zone, if you will. And of course, we do a Portugal calling webinar at 7:30 in the evening, which is a bit easier for some of our folks who for who this is a very early start. And the wine club is on a Thursday evening as well. And the man cave is on a Friday night. Hola, bon dia. Good morning to you, Graça, Dona Graça, in Anadia this morning. How are you? Portugal is about family. Absolutely, Gary. Breakfast is, I see. Interesting. So is that a comment about the family hotel? Because I think, yes, Gary, definitely Portugal is about family without a doubt. Go to a restaurant's not a problem. But I think what Chitra and Roman were concerned about was the big chains. The big chains aren't very Portuguese, are they? They are corporate and international. So you still had that sort of, oh my God, children. Ew, I've come here for a relaxing weekend. So yeah, I think there was a definitely niche in the high-end hotel market. But you're absolutely right. Wherever else you go in Portugal, kids absolutely fine. Breakfast is not my one meal a day. How's their lunch? Which one is this? The Martinel lunch? Didn't have lunch. Went out for dinner at Eating Bear and had breakfast yesterday, but didn't have a lunch. Leitão is roast pork, of course. Why didn't I think of that? There is Portugal's suckling pig. Now, in a lot of cultures, suckling pig is a rare event, isn't it? It's every day, and certainly in the Barrada, where I previously lived, that is the capital of Leitão. Roast suckling pig. There you go. And Andrea, what would that come with? That might come with some chips and vegetables, mightn't it? Whatever you want, really. And red, sparkling red, is one of the picks to pair with that as well. Bon dia, Carl, from Andrew Gilchrist. Hey, Andrew, how are you doing? Good to have your company as well on Friday. When cycling through the villages, my Portuguese mate can tell exactly what meal, meat, and how it is being cooked by the smells wafting by. That is tracker skill. Portuguese trackers can do that. You hear that? That's amazing. Good day to you from Ralph Buzalo. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Ralph Busello, possibly. Or Prince Busselot. It would be another attempt at that. But good day to you, Ralph. And Louise saying, hola, bon dia to Graça as well. Sorry for my tardiness, running late this morning. You're all right. No one need apologize. It's easy going here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Thanks for being with us at all. David, lunch is huge and very important here. 3 courses at least. No skimping on the 3 courses. Even in the 21st century, which I'm so glad to see. Gary and I have talked about this before, David. You'll see working fellas, right? Postmen who finish for the day, workers who have stopped for a while. They will sit down in a cafe and they may well have the soup to start. they'll have the prato do dia, and they may have a sobremesa, chocolate mousse, a rice pudding on top of all of that, and they're going to have a little a carafe of wine with their midday meal as well. Hugely civilized, and it's great to see that persists and hasn't been challenged by other cultures. And yeah, you know, I don't think that should ever be undermined. I think it's really important. It's so many good things to come from sitting down together, aren't there? And eating together, and the Portuguese do that so well. Leitão comes with crisps. Prefer chips and oranges, says Andrea. Yes, indeed. Sometimes when you ask for chips or batatas fritas, you'll get a crisp, or what do you Americans call them? You don't call them crisp, do you? Potato chips. Yes, that's right. So be careful when you're ordering chips and thinking you've got like a French fry, because it might be a cold, thin chip. Food is a religious practice in Portugal. Absolutely right. Thank you, Andrew. Respect the table, the mesa. Absolutely. That's a really good way of putting it. Respect the table, come to the table, whether you feel like it or not, just get there. It's in the culture. It's in the muscle of, you know, just people find themselves gravitating towards the table probably 3 times a day. Excuse me, just have a sip of tea. And yeah, people gravitate automatically towards the table for lunch and dinner and probably breakfast together. And it is a very special thing. So yes, you've got that to look forward to, folks. Those of you who are coming here to breathe out. And you will not, that's the other thing, you will not be rushed in a restaurant either. You will struggle to get the waiting staff's attention to pay your bill. Don't be doing your, you know, chop, chop, busy, time is money, blah, blah stuff here. Get in and take your time, and that will be the expectation of the establishment, to let you take your time. And you might eventually, after an hour or so, amble up to the counter yourself and say, I'm really sorry, posso pagar? I do have to go now after whatever 90 minutes or whatever. My wife and I walked 24 miles this weekend. We're in training to walk all the cities of Europe. You will have a fine time here. Be careful of the calçadas. Portuguese saying, first we eat, then we do everything else. What a fantastic sentiment to end on today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Gilda, for your wonderful input and your lovely smile, as Gary quite rightly pointed out. We'll see you tomorrow morning with some insight from an absolute whiz kid. I mean, this Rafael, not to patronize him at all, but he's, I think, quite a lot younger than me, as many people seem to be these days. And he knows a thing or two about web marketing and putting a business online. So any questions you've got about that, join us tomorrow morning, me and Rafael Guerrero, at 9 o'clock or thereabouts tomorrow morning, and we'll have a chat about starting an online business. Take care, folks. Bye for now, and have a great day. Ciao, ciao. Até já. Até logo. Beijinhos. Abraços.